Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers. And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, Season 16, Episode 38. He's Dave Bryan. I'm Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. Thanks for being back with us.
Despair and agony on me. Oh, deep, dark depression, excessive misery. Oh, sorry, I was lower. I jumped the gun right there.
You scared me for a second there, Dave, but well done. It is the Steelers' unofficial theme song after every loss. The Pittsburgh Steelers losing to the Bengals 33-31 Thursday night in Cincinnati. The Steelers' Thursday night road curse continues. Mike Tomlin now 2-10 all-time on the road on Thursday night, 0-7 against the AFC North. And so file under things I guess we should have seen coming. I think Dave and I both expected a tight game. Certainly was not going to be as easy as some projected based on the rosters and the Steelers' supposed strength of their team, but a loss is a loss. And while it does follow the history, it's not done just because of the history. Pittsburgh played a poor game in a lot of ways, especially defensively, as you can see why Mike Tomlin was mad about Joe Flacco being acquired by the Bengals. But still, Dave, he's Joe Flacco. He's not Joe Burrow, but he looked like Joe Burrow last night. So
He looked
Dave,
like Joe Montana.
He looked like Joe Montana. Dave, I know how you're doing, but I'll ask the question anyway. How are you doing?
The coffee maker worked this morning. There's that. So that's a good thing. I had some ice cold Monster drinks in there to suck on this morning. Yeah, the historical aspect of this is pretty phenomenal. Road AFC North teams are now 2-18 in divisional games on Thursdays. 0-10 in the last 10 games, and the Steelers, as you highlighted, are now 0-7 in such games. And Mike Tomlin not good on Thursday nights. The last Thursday night win was when?
2016
Yeah.
against the Colts. His only other 2007 against the then St. Louis Rams.
Oh, wow. They look, I mean, they knew what the task was at hand here, and they failed it miserably. This second, I mean, let's jump right into it real quick. I mean, as a 30,000 foot overview, this secondary was specifically put together seemingly and allegedly with games like this in mind, where you had to face Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and regardless of who the quarterback is. And even though Joe Flacco had all of 10 days to prepare for this, you'd swear he had 10 months to prepare for this, the way the defense played. And you faced a Bengals defense that was miserable running the football going into this game, and they got that going right out of the chute. And the Steelers had no, I talked, one of the hot buttons I had going into this is, well, should you play zone or should you play man against Joe Flacco in this? It didn't matter what they played in this overall. Flacco chewed them up in both zone and man. He got the ball out quick. They stayed ahead of the chains for most of the game, and in a few situations where they were behind the chains in some third and long situations, the Steelers gave up easy conversions. And when you only sack Flacco twice in this game, and you don't take the football away, and you don't cover Chase and Higgins, and you allow the run to be what it was, that's what happens here.
I gotta say, Monster energy drinks at 7 a.m. your time? I can't remember if you're 50 years old or if you're 14. My goodness, Dave.
Yeah, going on 84. But I did get if there's anything positive from Thursday, I got a a great clean bill of health from my doctor.
Hey, we'll celebrate that.
Yeah, so there is that aspect of it, but I think it deteriorated some last night.
Yeah, might need another checkup after this game. My 30,000-foot view, Dave, echoes yours. Defensively, it was really bad. You scored 31 points in this game. That should be enough to win this game
Absolutely.
against the Bengals team that had Joe Flacco, that had not just the NFL's worst running game, but by far the NFL's worst running game, historically bad on pace for running game, and that's where it starts. I mean, you allow the Bengals to run for 142 yards, over 6 yards per carry. Chase Brown, 11 carries for 108 yards, almost 10 yards per carry, a 37-yard run. Bengals' longest run coming to this game was 13 yards on the entire season. Brown had multiple runs longer than that, and so that's the theory. You stop the run, get the pass rush going, get the takeaways. You couldn't do that. And then, of course, a terrible game plan defending Jamar Chase, as you said. The whole theory, the whole acquisitions of Darius Slay and Jalen Ramsey, and putting your chips on those guys was to man up and be able to take away guys like Chase and Higgins. And instead, Chase sets a franchise record with 16 receptions and also set a record against the Steelers for most receptions in a game against Pittsburgh, breaking a record that had stood since 1981. So Chase, 16 catches for 161 yards, 1 touchdown. T. Higgins, 6 catches, 96 yards, and a score. That last catch down the sideline, beating Ramsey, setting up the game-winning field goal. So really, really poor defensive outing for an opponent that you know, a quarterback that you know. Yes, he's better than Jake Browning, but he's not supposed to be able to put up the great line that he did. But the run defense was really disappointing, knowing how bad the Bengals have been.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, you roll back in your head, and I think a lot of Bengals fans were retweeting this throughout the night and all like that. Jamar, I mean, you go back to training camp and that interview with on the pivot with Jalen Ramsey saying, yeah, he wants all that Jamar Chase smoke. Well, he got it.
He got smoked.
Yeah, he got smoked. He got the smoke, and he got smoked. And look, it wasn't just Jamar Chase in this game, but he definitely took the he definitely got his lungs full of smoke in this one for sure. And the Steelers, miscommunication rears his ugly head at some key points in this game, but even in situations where they didn't have miscommunication, and they tried everything pretty much imaginable in this too. They tried double covering both those guys, Chase and T. Higgins, a couple of times in this game, and then you had what do you what's his name, Isovos,
Andre Joseph,
killing you. And look, they even shot themselves in the foot early in this game. The Bengals did with a couple. One of them was obvious drop to the running back coming out when the Steelers tried to green dog in, and Chase Brown got free. And if he would have caught that, he would have gained another 20 yards after that. And then another one where it looked, not necessarily a drop. Joey Porter did a good job of playing through the catch point and all like that. So I guess technically that'd be a pass breakup there. And then the Bengals tried to help the Steelers out with a couple of penalties as well too. But a couple of those early third and long situations there, and just easy pitching catches. One of them was to Jamar Chase, I think on a 3rd and 13 or 3rd and 12 or whatever like that, over to the left side. There, just an empty spot. I think was that the cover 2 one. I don't remember, but
I'm not sure. And then Higgins later on 3rd and 10, playing zone again, sits down. Pitch and catch. I mean, Pittsburgh played a combination of things. I know you can play a variety of coverages, and you must against these guys, but nothing was working.
Nothing. Jamar Chase, according to Next Gen Stats in this, average cushion of 5.8 yards, average separation 3.9 yards. That's just astounding. And then, his damage could have probably even been a little bit.
He dropped one. He had a bad drop. I think Flacco audibly had his mouth agape at one of those drops.
Right. It's one of those things where you know what's coming and you know what it's going to be required to take care of it, and they couldn't do it, and it just wasn't in the passing game as we kind of started this off in the running game. and the Steelers were trying to stack the box early and run blitz and all like that, and people either uh, bad gap filling, or they couldn't get off their blocks. As good of a game as Patrick Queen and Holcomb and Peyton Wilson had played the previous week before, this was just the exact opposite of that. And then you have the missed tackles in the secondary, and you're allowing that extra yak on top of it. I mean, well, what did the defense do good?
Not much in this one. They had a good start, 7-0 lead. Pittsburgh went up 10-0 in the second quarter, and then the Bengals scored 17 in the second quarter, and there certainly were some turning points off a couple of Pittsburgh turnovers and penalties that negated a 4th and inches tush-push conversion, which was an obvious false start on the offense, but again, the offense at least put up 31. I mean, they generally took care of business. They took the late lead, and for all the defensive warts, you're up 31-30, about 2 minutes left. You get one stop, and you win this game, and it's ugly, and it's closer than the analysts and the pundits nationally think, but it's a win, and I would have taken a win anyway because it is so tough to win on the road, short week, against a divisional opponent, but Pittsburgh could not get those stops, and it wasn't even much resistance. You had a couple of easy completions to Jamar Chase, the one coverage bust over the middle that you said, then the deep ball to Higgins against Ramsey, and that was basically all she wrote. So just could not get those big stops even late in the game.
Yeah, and even if the Steelers had won, we would have had a lot to talk about today in a negative aspect when it comes to this defense. And yeah, you would have been thankful to get out of there with a win and all like that. But so much went wrong on a play, almost on a play basis with this defense that has you really, really concerned. And if Joe Flacco can do this to you on 10 days rest, you're going to turn around and play him in a couple more weeks from now. What's he going to do to you when he actually has time to prepare for you? I mean, you go from thinking, all right, you got a good chance of maybe sweeping the Bengals once Joe Burrow went down, and then now you're looking at this saying, wondering if you're going to get swept by the Bengals here. And they were just a machine on offense that the Steelers just had no answer for whatsoever. And they were. The Steelers were out coached on that side of football easily. The Bengals were easily the more prepared team on that side of football. And yeah, there was some raw dogging that went on.
Yeah, and that's a reference to Jamar Chase comments for those unaware.
Right. He says, we know the Steelers are going to try to come in and raw dog us and kill us, but we're going to be ready for that challenge, and we're going to be waiting for it. Yeah, there ended up being a raw dogging of the Steelers defense in this one. So it is very concerning. I mean, Flacco did a good job of getting that ball out quickly, and his average time to throw will probably, by the time the rest of the times come in around the league, will probably be one of the lowest of week 7, and the Steelers still had no answer. And then here's the thing, and you hit on this. As bad as everything was, the offense somehow managed to continue to push through and actually take the lead, and then you boil it down to one defensive possession for your unit, and you know what's at stake at that. You can't let them in field goal range, and they just gave up a lot of easy plays, and they once they even marched down into near field goal range, you get burned by T. Higgins going outside of Ramsey, and Ramsey not staying in phase, looking back for the football, and really, I mean, that was a ball that T. Higgins kind of had to adjust to, and yeah, and smart on him to go down at that point as well too, and not score and not give Aaron Rodgers really another chance. And to Aaron Rodgers, at least credit, and one small positive to take away at the end of this game is Aaron Rodgers can throw the football over them there mountains still. And all for naught, obviously there, but arm strength, obviously we know he still has this. We'll get to some of the positive things on offense here. He was able to extend some plays. You saw some shades of Aaron Rodgers from 2, 3, 4 years ago there. So that was exciting. The tight ends got involved in this one. The run game obviously was acceptable. They were able to run even some counter plays. They ran a couple of counter plays to both sides that got some good yardage in here. But this game will be remembered mainly by the failures of the Steelers defense.
Sure. And that Hail Mary, I believe, was the longest air yard throw of the season, just about 70 yards, just a touch under. I want to talk about the offense here in a moment because there are certainly some positives to take away, but I'm just looking at the drive sheet from the NFL, and I think it just sums up how uncomplimentary football this defense played. Everybody knows, obviously, the defense did not play well, but here are the Bengals outcomes after every Steelers score after the first quarter. So Pittsburgh gets a field goal in the second quarter, Bengals get a touchdown. Go to the third quarter, Steelers get a touchdown. Open the fourth quarter, Bengals get a touchdown. Steelers get a touchdown after that, Bengals get a field goal. Steelers get a touchdown. Late in the game, Bengals get the game-winning field goal. So Pittsburgh allowed points after every offensive score following the first quarter. And that just shows the defense was not able to get stops and be able to play the complementary football of, okay, the offense did their job, let's go do our job to complement that on the other end. And that kind of sums up the night to me.
Yeah, look, 7 of their 8 final possessions of the game ended in points. And the one time that the Steelers stopped them, it was after Mike Tomlin had punted with, what was it,
5 minutes left.
Yeah. And the Bengals, they didn't just sit on the football. They tried to throw in that situation, which was a little bit surprising, being as how good they ran the football. And they ran 5 plays, got 1 first down, and then punted the ball back. And the Steelers, to their credit, then went down the field on 2 plays, 68 yards to Freiermuth on a nice long touchdown in that. But then once again, you're thinking to yourself, did they score too soon? And as the narrator said, yes, they did. In that one, you just had a feeling that too much time, and they hadn't been able to stop. I would have played nothing but man press coverage on that final drive. Come beat us one more time and beat us 1-on-1. They probably would have, but that's how I would have asked Joe Flacco to beat me on that final drive.
And usually those thoughts of did they score too soon is whenever the opposition has an elite quarterback, a Josh Allen, a Patrick Mahomes, not Joe Flacco, but Flacco certainly looked elite last night. To answer the old age-old question of, is Joe Flacco an elite quarterback? Jamar Chase after the game saying, quote, "They did exactly what we was expecting and hoping they do, man coverage. We knew they were going to put Joey Porter Jr. on T. Higgins and put Jalen Ramsey on me, and we knew that we were ready for it. We were going to take advantage of those opportunities," end quote, and they certainly did. So the weekly bingo card, free space. We knew exactly what Pittsburgh was going to do defensively.
And they did try to roll all different types of coverages against them as well too, and doubled them a couple of times, and still had Joseph when they did see some of those bracket 2-man double coverage on those guys, they split you right. That was there were a lot of key big plays. Look, they had 6 explosive plays, and all 6 of them went for 25 yards or more in this one. But how big was that one to Josephus for 37 yards on a 3rd and 4 situation? So not only were they gunning for the sticks, they were going for the whole enchilada in the 3rd quarter there with 2:29 left. So, once again, that it's more than just one play. Mike Thomas said they made more plays than us. Oh, yeah, they did. Great observation there, Mike. But that 37-yard touchdown down the middle of the field with the Steelers trying to double cover Chase and Higgins, Flacco took his shot and connected.
Yeah, one issue with the secondary for all the talent they brought in, it's an older secondary, and can some of these guys turn and run? Darius Slay really can't run, and even Jalen Ramsey, I don't think runs as well as he used to. I know he's got the hamstring injury that probably isn't 100% either, but whenever you couple all that with a short week, we talk about short weeks in these veteran guys. I think one of the hardest things for them is just the pure recovery time. Their bodies don't heal as fast. They're so sore late in the week. We hear a lot of veterans say, like, late in my career, I didn't feel good until Friday, Saturday, right before the game, essentially. Now you're playing on a Thursday trying to run with these guys, and Pittsburgh simply could not. And so speed's going to be an issue because the secondary, Porter side, does not really have a ton of speed.
Yeah, but the other side is tasked with the same opportunity as well too, and the offense and all, and the recovery time. And look, Flack, how much now the Bengals did wind up practicing. What night? All these days are running together.
Yeah, they had an evening practice Monday or Tuesday. I forget what day it was. They had a night practice.
All right, and the Steelers obviously had to travel on Wednesday. So there's a tiny bit of advantage right there, but the Steelers really, you saw a lot of you saw the estimated practice report for the Steelers obviously on Monday, and then Tuesday. I can't imagine that was all that strenuous of a practice, and then you turn around, you got to travel on Wednesday, and yeah, you probably did some sort of walkthrough at some point, but I mean that you got to be more ready than that.
Sure, I'm not denying that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I'm just looking at a couple of 34-year-old Darius Slay on a short week trying to run with Yosevos, who's 24 or 25 years old, a big, long strider. It's a terrible play, as you said. It's not absolving Darius Slay, but you're not surprised to see some of these things. And I talked about, obviously, Chase and Higgins are the straws that stir the drink, but Yosevos and Fant can make plays. Fant's always had success against Pittsburgh, and Yosevos is a talented guy that in a different system with more opportunity would be putting up some pretty good numbers. He's got some drop and some hand issues, but other than that, he can make some plays when he does catch the football, and then both those guys were impactful last night.
Yeah, look, and they didn't have Gesicki. He's out on IR now, and they started. They had one rookie guard and one guy coming off of IR that they ended up, I think, playing at the other guard spot there, and they obviously used a lot of 11 personnel. We do. That wasn't a surprise. It's not like you didn't know what they were going to run, and they ran a lot of the same. How many slants in this? 7 completions on slants.
That's what I have tallied, yep, and that doesn't even count a couple of drops and a couple of penalties on those slant routes.
Mm-hmm. And then,
So
you had a couple of pass interferences in this one, and they didn't have an answer on any type of coverage. And once again, it goes. I was worried. I not worried. I was just wondering if we'd see more zone or man. And it was probably ended up going to be a split of pretty damn close to. In fact, I think Next Gen Stats might have something on that, but it really didn't matter because Flacco chewed them up either way.
Bengals ran officially, according to ESPN, 72 plays in this game. Pittsburgh has not outsnapped their opponent in any of their 6 games this season. They've lost the time of possession battle in 5 of 6 games, including last night Bengals holding the football for 34 minutes and 32 seconds. By rough charting, I haven't done the exact math on it, excluding some of the no plays that don't technically count, but Pittsburgh's defense on pace to play about 1,200 snaps in the regular season alone. This defense is just playing entirely too many snaps, and it's going to have real bad returns and a domino effect, especially later in this season against what looks like a pretty difficult schedule. So that is another concern of mine. That's a team stat. Offense has to do more, but the offense did a good job last night. The defense could not get a lot of stops, and that's just been a big problem for me. The recurring factor of an old defense, one of the oldest in football, playing far too many snaps.
Yeah, Joe Flacco completed 28 of 37 passes for 336 and 3 touchdowns from a clean pocket in the Bengals Week 7 win against the Steelers, the most passing yards in a clean pocket for Flacco since Week 4 of 2018, also
Mm.
against the Steelers.
Oh,
Uh,
lovely.
338 yards. Flacco, all this next gen stats credit, by the way. Flacco was pressured on a season low 24.5% of his dropbacks while averaging a time to throw of 2.44 seconds. His quickest this season on quick throws under 2.5 seconds. Flacco was 21 of 31 for 222 yards, including all 3 of his touchdown passes. When facing pressure, Flacco finished with just 3 completions across 10 pass attempts for only 6 yards. So when the Steelers did get pressure, which wasn't often, they did their job. But when the ball, when the ball was coming out quick for him, and that's obviously what the Steelers have been trying to do to other teams with Aaron Rodgers for the most part, was get rid of the ball quick because of pressure. And going back to the snap counts on this, and with the Bengals playing a lot of obviously 11 personnel. The Steelers didn't roll out that much of the 3 outside linebacker Bronco package there. And then to make matters worse, Nick Herbig, who is probably not arguably, your best pass rusher so far this season, played 29 of 76 snaps, 38%. And I don't have the breakdown yet of how many of those were pass rush opportunities for him. So, you can't even get one of your best pass rushers on the field more than 38% of the snaps against an offense that primarily uses 11 personnel. And obviously, your other corners did not, your other outside linebackers, Watt, could, and he said after the game, ball out so quick, and you combine that with how often he's chipped and all like that. He was a non-factor pretty much in this game, and Highsmith pretty much a non-factor. And man, they even lulled him to sleep later on in the game, and Joe Flacco does a
Yeah.
does does a read and then scampers for 12, 13 yards and just caught them all. What a great play call in that situation. Nobody expects that old man to take off with the football, especially on a design call like that. Caught them totally with their pants down on that one.
What's the stat you guys dropped in the Discord today? DK Metcalf had more tackles than TJ Watt last night. So, but the ball comes out quick because it was so wide open. And when receivers were running free and coverages are easy to decipher and dictate, the ball's going to get out quick. And that's how Jamar Chase sets a record against Pittsburgh and a record for his own franchise. Flacco,
They had the safety too a couple of times trying to come down and cut.
yeah.
And that worked a couple of times, at least tackling the catch goes, but in other instances either they missed the tackle or tackles, or in other instances when the safety was trying to come down, they one of them was obviously I think the Yosevus they go down the middle of the field and split you.
Flacco, 3 touchdowns last night. Only the second time he's ever thrown 3 touchdowns against the Steelers. Last time was 2011, so it's been a long time for that. So everyone saw it. The run defense bad, the pass rush non-existent, no takeaways, the splash wasn't there, and you combine all of that, that's how you get rolled by the Bengals on Thursday night.
And look, the two turnovers obviously were costly because those resulted in 10 points off of turnovers. But it's not like you and I'm not excusing those in any way, shape, or form. One was a great play by the who was the corner that made that play on the
DJ Turner.
Yeah, Turner. Boy, what a play that was there.
Mm-hmm.
Now the other one, Aaron had no business throwing that, and he's throwing it down the red line as well too. And DK never had a shot at that where the ball placement was. And on top of it, there was a safety, just over the top on that one. It would have been a miracle if that would have been just incomplete period on that one there. But it's not like those were short field turnovers, and the defense, allowed 10 points on that one there. But losing the turnover battle alone, you still ended up somehow taking the lead late in the game, and gave your defense one last shot uh to win the game, and all you need is one stop in that situation, and they still couldn't do it. So yeah, the turnovers were costly because points off of turnovers. But and then obviously you're taking the football away from your offense. You're not getting the time of possession, not being able to run more plays in that situation there. But it went a lot further than just turning the football over twice in this game. And had the Steelers taken the football away just once, maybe at one point during this game, maybe that's enough to swing the tide in this one. But yeah, defense was absolutely horrible in this. I mean, I don't know what other way to kind of paint this.
When was the last time Pittsburgh forced a takeaway? Looks like the Minnesota game, week 4 in Dublin. Not sure what point of the game that was, but it has been more than 2 full games since Pittsburgh's last takeaway. And they had missed chances against Cleveland and in an otherwise really good defensive performance, but that is how the Steelers are supposed to play. Splashy, takeaway type of football. That's why one reason why their turnover differential is so strong. Every season, +7 entering the game yesterday. Now they are +5 because they turned it over twice and did not take the ball away themselves.
And then the one opportunity that they did, it went right off of was it Slay's face mask, right?
Yeah, that's tough because Chase
It's
tips
tough,
it right in
right?
front, and you're trying to react, not expecting Chase to drop that one. So I can give some grace there. But other than that, they really had no opportunities to take the
Mm-mm.
football away because things were just so wide open.
I guess the other one may have been when it was tipped and kind of fluttered to Higgins, and the Steelers got their hands on like 2 or 3 balls in this game, at the line. But yeah, there technically, as far as pure passing goes, there weren't many interceptable balls that Flacco threw because his guys were so damn
Yeah.
wide open. Once again, you go back to the average separation and the average distance of at the catch point there that Chase had, and they weren't anywhere close to him.
Last takeaway Pittsburgh had came in the third quarter against Minnesota, the TJ Watt interception off of Carson Wentz. They have not taken the football away once since. I said earlier, we'll talk about the offense. I kind of was tardy getting to that. So let's talk about this offense. Dave, Aaron Rodgers, 4 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, but 31 points is 31 points. The 68-yard touchdown to Pat Frymouth that gave Pittsburgh a temporary 31-30 lead. Frymouth, big game for him. That was sorely needed. I'm sure he was banking on beating the Bengals again, a team he has owned. Jaylen Warren, a career game in total yards, 127 yards rushing. The run game was strong. Certainly some things to talk about here and some missed opportunities, the interceptions, the 4th and 1 tush push on the false start, which was correctly called. It was egregiously a false start. But overall, there were a lot of positives here.
Yeah, they lost a touchdown though on the holding by Zach Frazier there that such a good drive, and then a couple of penalties you have to settle for that not getting that 4 points, and you never know how the game's going to play out from certain points in the game forward, but that obviously hurt there. The run game, and there was a lot to like about what they did in the run game, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was the big bodies again of Washington and Anderson. It was a good blend of getting all your tight ends involved and all making meaningful contributions. 4 touchdowns from your tight ends. I don't think that's ever happened before in Steelers history. Freiermuth with 2, Jonnu Smith with 1, and Darnell Washington with 1, and then Spencer Anderson as a blocker, some of those tosses and pulls. Here's one question Mike Tomlin got after the game. He didn't really buy it. Did Pittsburgh get away from the run too much in this game, or was it a healthy balance?
Oh, you're gonna have to re-ask me that on Monday, but it was working, you know.
The
I
run
don't.
game?
Yeah.
Yeah, the question is, should they have done it more? There was a kind of a middle portion of the game on some of the
Well,
Rodgers interceptions.
sure. The 1st and 10, you come out on the whatever was it, the second drive, third drive. where you threw the interception on the first play on 1st and 10. You go play action. You trying to take a deep shot down the field. You know, you know, you'd been running the ball pretty decent there. Why not just hang on to the football in that situation? Try to continue to run the football there. So, I guess ask me this again once I can kind of compartmentalize some of this and all. But yeah, I mean, there are certain points in, once you're down, they were still running the football at points when they were down, a little bit, and I thought that showed good composure within there. My short answer is I didn't feel like they got away from the run too many different times in the game.
I'm with you largely. There's some things you could nitpick and benefit of hindsight. As you mentioned, that first interception, 1st and 10, airing it out. But you get single high, you're running the ball well early. You're bringing the ball, bringing guys down into the box to try to stop the run. So those are chances where you look for the deep ball and hitting the home run. So I think overall the balance was fine and the run game was there throughout the entire game.
Yeah. And they had success as well too. And I thought Jalen Warren, other than the other one was the other kind of key moment, I guess, or one of the several key moments there was that what the hell happened with the flea flicker? Obviously, Aaron Rodgers says, and the broadcast said he took it off.
He took off. Took what off? The
Uh,
call?
yeah, the call evidently.
Okay.
I think Herb Street said he thought that checked out of the flea flicker, and obviously Aaron Rodgers was not expecting it with his reaction to Warren there, and because everybody was blocking on the play, right? All the eligibles pretty much, and then
Right.
everybody kind of ad-libbed after it got tossed back to Rodgers there. But after the game, Mike Tomlin was asked if that was the design flea flicker, and he basically said yes. So, what is it? I
I'm a little
mean, obvious to me. I think Aaron Rodgers checked out of that or called it off, and Warren missed it.
Yeah, at some point there was a potential for a flea flicker, and it was either canned or checked out of or not supposed to be run based on the defensive look and some wires got crossed there. When Tomlin was asked about it, he said just simply, I think, yes to the question, but the question was one part, was that supposed to be a flea flicker? And then I think the question ended with, or was that an accident? And then Tomlin said yes to it. And so I'm a little unclear if Tomlin was affirming it was a flea flicker or it was an accident of a flea flicker, but Rodgers was very adamant, both in the moment and then post game. It was not supposed to be a flea flicker on that play, and it's clear based on what everybody else was doing. So you're right; those are some moments in this game. That one and the 4th and inches tush push that was negated by the false start, along with the holding call that brought back the Warren touchdown, forced Pittsburgh to settle for a field goal to make it 10-0 instead of potentially 14-0, which was an obvious moment. So there certainly were lost opportunities for this offense. It felt a little Patriots game like where you got up 14-0 and you couldn't put them away and really kind of build on that lead and let the Bengals, in this case, let the Patriots get back into this one. And unlike the Patriots game, did not force 5 takeaways. You could not make the place late to go win it.
What did the Bengals do after? What was their ensuing drive after the failed? Oh, okay. The Steelers punted after the failed tush push there. So,
No, they kicked the field goal after the tush
they kicked
push.
the field goal. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, after the flea flicker, what did the Bengals do? Did they do anything? I think they just punted after that. But Pittsburgh had
Okay.
2nd and 4 at the 44, up 7-0. So could you get points there? The Bengals didn't capitalize, but the Steelers couldn't get more points.
Right.
One positive, more first drive touchdowns and points. 7-0 lead early on, 8 plays, 69 yards on the opening possession for the Steelers, finding Johnny Smith for a 10-yard touchdown on 3rd and 6. So Pittsburgh's had some good starts this year. They've scored now 28 points on opening drives this season, something like that, more than they had all of last season. 3 opening drive touchdowns in 6 games. That's more. They had 0 last year. So, one positive is that these game scripts are really good. They're really strong. Players are executing, and Pittsburgh's getting points early.
How many of the touchdowns did the Bengals have that came on third downs?
I will have to scroll through. I'm not sure exactly
Let's
how
see.
many it was.
The first one came on second.
The Fant touchdown was third and goal.
Right. Their second touchdown to Higgins came on second and 4. The Fant came on third and 5. So you have an opportunity in the fourth quarter uh, to hold them to a field goal on third and 5 from the 5, and you couldn't get that done. That's the one where they ran the rub and Higgins. I mean, he was he sold that rub extreme. I know the Steelers were all calling for pass interference, but I mean, there's no way you can call offensive pass interference on that because he disguised that really well, trying to work through his route.
Did he? I mean, he just shoved Darius Slay down.
Yeah, but I mean, he's off the line. I didn't take issue with that being a non-call personally. Let's see on the next touchdown. Okay, that was it.
So the one touchdown
Yeah.
on third down, but that was a big one on the no Fant score, no question about that. And the Bengals on third down overall, 7 of 14, and probably from the second quarter on, I'm sure they were much better than 50% on third down, including some of those long conversions. One of them did come early. I think that first possession, the Bengals had that third and 13 to chase, but Pittsburgh still struggling in some of those and long moments.
Yeah, and what were they? Let's see here. Cincinnati had to find out their offense here. I don't have that pulled up. I was going to see what they did on 1st and 10 situations with the run.
I can try to pull that up if you give me a second. I assume and hope that it's up on StatHead, but I'd have to take a second to find out the first down success in this game.
Let me see if I can pull it here because I got what I sent to you in the charting up here. 1st and 10 on the run. First run in the game at 1st and 10 for them, 2 yards and then 4 yards. So they got off to a good start there, and then 27 on 1st and 10 on a Chase Brown run off left tackle, then 37 up the middle, just miserable tackling on that one. There 37, then another 1st and 10, 6 yards, another 1st and 10, 7 yards, 3 yards on a 1st and 10 on a 1st and 7 situation. They got 2 yards, 1st and 10, 12 yards. So, they ran pretty good on first down overall on 1st and 10 situations. And, Mike Tomlin talked after the game, you let them stay ahead of the change. And even their second down production was probably the key point in this. I imagine they were fairly successful on second down on this one in this one.
They were successful on every down, I'm sure, against Pittsburgh, but I'm looking at the numbers from StatHead. The Bengals on first down runs averaged 9.9 yards on 11 carries. So you
give up over 60 on 2 of those.
Yeah, those explosive and double explosive plays for, again, a Bengals offense that was 32nd in the NFL in rushing yards and bottom in every rushing metric, a team that was not just the worst in football, but easily the worst. They were averaging 57 yards per game on the ground this season. The 31st team was around 81 yards per game, so they were 25 yards worse than last place. They were on pace to have the fewest rushing yards in a non-strike season since the 1946 Miami Seahawks, which, yes, is a real team or was a real team, and they ran for 140 plus in this game. Very typical to do against the Steelers on a short week.
Yeah, let's see. What was Mike Tomlin asked about what was the question about defining us?
I don't know if the question was about that, but he said this loss will not define the Steelers, which I think is fair. I mean, the loss sucks. It was bad. There's a lot of questions, but I am not saying, oh my God, the season's over. This has happened many times before. It happened last year to Cleveland, and Pittsburgh bounced back with 2 straight wins off of that. It was a squandering of a really golden opportunity. I'm not debating that. To go to 5-1 would have been huge and really locked up the division. Now things are more open, but Pittsburgh certainly can bounce back from this.
Yeah, and look, they're going to have some tough opponents coming up to try to do that as well.
Sure. Yeah, it's not going to be easy. It's not supposed to be, but I think this is the thing that defines the Steelers in terms of the regular season is the losing streaks. Pittsburgh has had 3-game losing streaks every year since, I think, 2017. It's a stat I'm kind of waiting on to see if that streak either extends or finally breaks this year. So, what defined Pittsburgh last year was not that Thursday night loss to Cleveland in the blizzard, as bad as it was. The defining part was the 4 straight losses to end the season that then stretch into a fifth in the playoff game. So you can't have these big losing streaks if you can avoid that. Still got a really good chance to win the division and host a home playoff game, but obviously won't be easy than having to face the Packers next Sunday night.
The question that he answered, defined by this performance, is it especially disappointing with the secondary's focus this offseason being to play these Bengals? He says, yeah, we won't be defined by this performance, but it certainly was disappointing tonight.
Okay, I guess the question was about the definition of the secondary, which is fair. I mean, that's what Pittsburgh had touted. That was the whole Mike Tomlin. We can play man coverage against anybody. And A, Pittsburgh played a lot of zone in this one. And B, when it did play man, it was not successful.
Right.
What else from the offense here, Dave? Frymuth, again, good to have him. I mean, Rodgers, what were your thoughts on Rodgers' play last night?
Outside of the throw deep to Metcalf, that was intercepted. I thought he played extremely well.
I did too. I thought he's ripping the ball. I thought the O-line gave him time. The Bengals pass rush was really minimal without Trey Hendrickson, who did not play in this game due to a hip injury. The first touchdown to Johnny Smith. I don't even know how long Rodgers had the chance to hold on to the football. I think the Bengals tried to drop 8 in the coverage, and Rodgers found him. I mean, he was ripping the ball. The touchdown to Frymuth. If Pittsburgh gets that defensive stop, Rodgers is the hero of this game. The pick was bad, the first one. Stared it down. Bad ball placement, too far inside. Has to be down the sideline, if thrown at all. Someone said Roman Wilson was open on that play. I watched the replay once, just at a glance. I didn't get that sense, but I'll be watching for that if Wilson was open on that play.
Yeah, I haven't gone and looked at that one in depth yet as well, too. I've just spot checked through some of the some different plays on the all 22. So we'll talk more about that on Wednesday there.
Are you able to pull that up really quickly? Is that something we can do on the fly? I don't know if it's asking too much. You try to go source
what was
that play.
The play?
I'll try to get you
timestamp.
Yeah, I can get you in because it was the first play of the drive. It was 4:32 in the second.
4:32.
That first play of the drive, picked off by Jordan Battle. Rodgers, his 20th Thursday night game, first time he's ever thrown 2 interceptions on a Thursday game. So I think that second one was a really good play by the defender. It's hard to blame Rodgers for that. I don't blame Rodgers for that, but it is an interception on his stat sheet all the same.
All right, I've got this. I got the all 22 pulled up on this one, letting it run through.
Just the question is Roman open on that play? Some of the comments I saw, he's open, wide open.
Wide open, middle of the field. Yeah.
All right. So something I'm sure Rodgers would like to have back in a lot of ways on that one. Wilson 2 catches, so he's now doubled his career production in receptions. He had a kind of crazy hurdle on the 1 third down catch. The report was from Jeremy Fowler pregame. The intent was to get Wilson more involved. What was snap count on Roman, Dave? Was there an increase in snaps? It felt like there was.
Looking at this as well, too, Rodgers had Jalen Warren, too, middle of the field, just underneath that he could have just dumped that off to and probably got 5 yards on the play there, and it probably would have taken a little bit of touch to drop it over to on the over to Roman Wilson, but that was there. Protection. What was protection like on that one? It's play action.
It was good. It was like 2-man route, right? I mean, we're on the check down, the oval route. So was Wilson open, or was it because it was a cross? You're right. It was the oval route. I felt like there was underneath defenders that would have made it a tougher throw than it might have looked. But I'm not looking.
It would have been a little bit tougher throw here. I'm downloading this and sending it to you.
Send it because I haven't even taken a chance to look at it. Burning the midnight oil last night. Because I mean, if it's wide open, I mean, if it takes some touch, then I wouldn't call that probably wide open. If it was some sort of level of difficulty and having to fit that ball the right way to get it to him, and I didn't get that sense watching it in that brief looks that I have. And I know Dave and I'm asking Dave and I to talk about a video on a audio format, which is our specialty around here. But I just saw that comment and just want to kind of work through it here real quick.
All right, take a look at it.
All right, I'm looking. I'm scrubbing. Yeah, I wouldn't call that. I mean, if he throws it up people's shoulder, I mean, obviously there's a chance. But for the way that it was being talked about on Twitter, as in, oh my God, this guy's so wide open and Rodgers missed it with the underneath defender there. I wouldn't call that wide open.
Yeah, I mean, it would have taken, and then plus you have the outside zone second level guy kind of dropping as well, gaining a little bit of depth in there. But I mean, it could have been completed. It just would have taken it would have taken a precise touch throw.
Yeah, it probably was maybe. You could argue a better option to DK Metcalf. I think if the ball gets out quicker, Rodgers kind of stared it down, and the post safety was able to flow to it, and then just a really bad placement of the football were the most egregious parts of that play. But yeah, I just wouldn't call that as wide open as the internet made it seem to be when I saw those comments.
If that would have been if he would have seen that right from the get go and hit him right in the middle of the field, at the top of his drop. That would have been a much easier decision and throw.
Yeah, I just think
look at Rodgers right when he hits the top of his drop.
Yeah, it's tough off of play action a little bit because you got your back turn and you're trying to then scan the defense. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not saying that Roman couldn't have been completed, and I'm not saying that was the wiser decision to go to Metcalf, but it just wasn't as wide open as some of the comments seem to make it out to be.
And then also, I mean, that's a red line ball for that Rodgers is throwing to, and DK's nowhere close to the red line.
Yeah, it's going to be outside shoulder along the sideline, not inside where that safety has a chance to go make a play on it.
Right.
All right, Dave, what else from the offense? Offensive line, I thought, did a nice job overall. Anderson, I mean, no sacks in this one. Pittsburgh has not been sacked in their last 2 games, and in 3 of their 6 games this season, Rodgers has not been taken down. Obviously, the Bengals pass rush was pretty toothless without Hendrickson, so you're happy about that. But
I thought protection for the most part felt pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, no sacks. I mean, how many hits did the Bengals defense had? 2 hits all night on a day where Rodgers dropped back 35 plus times. You're happy about that.
Yep.
I mean,
and look, if you tell me ahead of time, if you told me on Wednesday that this team scores 31 points, I'm asking, wow, how many turnovers did the Steelers have? How many short fields? Was there a defensive touchdown in that? And obviously the Steelers won, right?
You would think. But yeah, Freiermuth coming out party for him, so that was good. I mean, and a lot of questions about, do you trade Freiermuth? No, I was never into the idea of go trade Freiermuth. All these tight ends have skill sets. All of them have things they bring to this offense, and it's going to ebb and flow, and it's going to vary a bit week to week. But all the tight ends getting involved on Thursday night.
I think a positive at least is with multiple tight. They proved that they can move the football, albeit against the Bengals defense. I don't know what how you measure that as a litmus test overall. As far as snap totals go, Roman Wilson 33 snaps in this, 58% of the snaps. Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith outsnapped all tight ends in this one with 40, Freiermuth 37, Washington 36, and they only ran 57 plays. So there was a lot of obviously multiple tight ends in this one. Was there 0 snaps for Caleb on offense?
It appears so. It looks like 0 snaps for Caleb Johnson, Warren 37, Gainwell 22. Yeah, at receiver, Roman Wilson got the clear advantage. He had 33. Scotty Miller had 8. Skoranek had 6. Keyshawn Williams 0. So it was a Roman Wilson-centric kind of game, and he had a couple of plays, and so I think there was something to build on there. Spencer Anderson, only 7 snaps. It felt like he was out there a whole lot more than 7 snaps, but he certainly made them count.
He sure did, and I'll have to go back and look at what the average yards gained were on that. I bet I can find that real quick with doing some sort here as far as when he was
certainly felt
eligible.
Good. Some of those tosses, they ran even a Zorro toss with Anderson going in motion, kind of like the Niners have done with Trent Williams, and so there's some fun stuff there. They like his athleticism, his feet, so that was on display for those 7 snaps.
Let's see, with him being reporting as eligible, I think there was 4 plays, 11, 0, 5, and 24 as far as ones where I think he was reporting as eligible.
Healthy average, it appears, off that data set. And one reason why the 7 snaps is you fell behind. You were down 2 scores in the second half. You got down 10 in the fourth quarter. So obviously you're going into pass mode, not like the Browns game where you had the lead and could run the ball. So not critiquing the 7 snaps. It just felt like the way they talked about it on the broadcast, it was more than 7 snaps. But that is the official number on Anderson.
All right, missed tackles, just tackling as a whole, that's just one other aspect to the defense playing poorly.
Yeah, I know Josh Carney will be pretty busy. He'll be jealous of that 2 missed tackle performance that was easy to go through a couple weeks ago. It was probably 2 missed tackles on multiple plays, including the Higgins touchdown, which was really shoddy tackling across the board. I mean, Higgins on that slant, that really kind of got them going. That one hurt a lot. I'm not sure if this will be the play, and I have to kind of think about the play in context of when it was, but the one play that stuck out to me, when did that Gainwell slip on that screen pass happen? That was second half. Was that did Pittsburgh have to punt there? What was the outcome of that drive?
Oh, I got too many things sorted here. We'll have to go back and look at that.
The Steelers still may have scored on that one. When I'm thinking about that play, that was like a second down, and he just lost his footing. Man, when was that play? Was that in the third quarter?
Let's see. Pass short left to Gainwell. Okay, pass short left to Gainwell. Was that where he lost 3 yards on?
It had to have been. He only had 2 catches, so whatever one he lost yardage on. When was that?
That was second quarter, 49 seconds left.
Oh, that was before the Rodgers interception, the second one, the one that
Right.
Metcalf had that ball taken out. Yeah, you talk about, man, how big of a play that could have been.
Mm-hmm. And what about the call of the Darnell screen?
Oh, yeah, the one in the red
Over
zone.
to the right.
Yeah, it was like that fake reverse, kind of spin around, tornado-looking play. Yeah, I mean, I know Washington's a fun piece, but that's not where he's going to win to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And even the jump ball they threw to him earlier, like, you can't run real fades with him. You run goal line fades where it just run 3 steps and turn and box out. That's fine. They scored that way earlier this year, but that kind of more true fade ball, I don't think that's really exactly the way I'd be using Darnell Washington.
Right.
But I mean, he played well. He had a couple of good hand catches. I mean, it was the one on the out route or kind of stick route that he caught. So it's a good performance.
His blocking seemed pretty good, at least from the TV tape that I rolled through quickly at midnight.
Yeah, I mean, what was the total tight end production in this game between Freiermuth and Smith and
Freiermuth had
Washington,
5 for 111. Jonnu had 3 for 28. So that's 8 for 139. Washington 3 catches, 2 yards, and then
So 11, 141, and 4 touchdowns. It's as good as it gets for a tight end group. And then Connor almost scored. He had that one clip off his hands, left side, which also is kind of a forgotten play. I think Pittsburgh still scored on that drive, a touchdown, though.
All right.
Special teams in this one, Keyshawn Williams, he's looked good as a returner, had a 37-yard run back. That's the longest kick return Pittsburgh has had since our friend Anthony McFarland in 2023 against the Packers. 37 yards, not exactly a giant run back, but a really healthy one. And I think that came late in the game, too, which was nice for Keyshawn. He loves to spin. This man he's never met a rush he's never wanted to spin against, and I'm a little worried about that, him getting the ball popped out one of these times. But kick return game was good, 30 yards per return. Gainwell had 1 for 36. Kick coverage continued to play well, and no real big gaps despite not having Miles Killebrew.
Look, you average right at 30 yards on kickoff returns, and Williams averaged 13.5 yards on punt returns. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
Is he going to keep his job whenever Austin comes back, which according to Jerry Dulac, which we take that with a grain of salt, but he says week 8 return for Austin?
Look, I think he's done enough to be in the conversation of keeping that job.
I think he's done enough to keep it. I think he's looked good. I think, get Austin off that unit. Obviously in kick returns, if you took Williams off and who else is back there with Caleb getting shelved, you elevate Sermon again. I don't think that's something they really want to do. I think Williams provides more of a spark, so I think Williams sticks.
Punt return coverage you stated was good. They only kick returns and they only had 2 3 punts, I guess. One was fair caught, and the 2 other ones were downed.
Yeah, it looks like 2 punts for Waitman. That's what ESPN's showing. Both inside the 20. I think both were fair caught. Or the one bounced and was down by Pierre.
Right.
The other one, I think, was fair caught.
Okay.
Boswell made his one kick. McPherson making four for the Bengals. Dave, I should have led with the housekeeping. We'll do the housekeeping with touring plans on Monday, like always. But just from an injury, an active standpoint, Pittsburgh seemingly healthy exiting this game. Darius Slay did his usual, leave the game for a couple snaps and then come back. He truly is this year's Dante Jackson. He had a rib issue, but he finished it out. Joey Porter Jr. left for a brief time. He returned as well. Mike Tomlin not saying any name specifically after the game when talking about the health of the Steelers. Calvin Austin, the only injured player who did not play in this game due to that shoulder injury. Like I said earlier, a moment ago, that he's expected back in Week 8 per Jerry Dulac. Miles Killebrew was placed on IR before the game. Do not know the exact nature of the injury. Christian Kuntz on his podcast said he believes it was a season-ending injury, which tracks with how serious it looked. Pittsburgh did not make a corresponding move to add somebody to the roster after placing Killebrew on IR, so they had a 52-man roster in this game. The inactives, I think you were 100% on, pretty chalk there.
Yeah, just needed 4 inactives because of carrying a 52-man roster in this one, and for once I was able to go 4 for 4. Obviously, Austin was ruled out with the shoulder injury there. It was easy to predict that DeMarvin Leal would be a healthy scratch again, and then you just imagine that Andres Pete has yet to dress for a game, so that was a free square on the inactive bingo card. And the only other question would Logan Lee sit down as a healthy scratch again versus Otomewo like they did in the last game? And I guess that would be the case, and I guess correctly. What does this mean for Logan Lee not being able to get a helmet over Otomewo?
Nothing good, I'm sure. Otomewo, a little more athletic, a little more juice. Although, did he play a snap in this game? What was the snap count, if any, for Otomewo?
He did. I thought I looked at, but there wasn't a lot. I don't
see his name on the list.
No.
Quale had 6 snaps. Y.A. Black 13. It was
Maybe it was a
mostly the
Quale
starters.
that I was looking at then.
So
I put that together this morning. You'd think I would know.
it's been we were sleeping fast tonight here.
Let me double
and
check
this morning.
here.
Yeah, it looks like 6 snaps for Quale for the backup lineman, and 13 for Y.A. Black.
Okay, so Otomewo didn't even play on special teams then either.
Nope. Looks like a lot of sideline standing for Otomewo. We'll see how they fill that spot left by Killebrew. Pittsburgh loves themselves a 52-man roster. They had it for multiple weeks this season, but not a big deal in the grand scheme of things.
Players that dressed it did not play any snaps. Caleb Johnson, 0 snaps. Otomewo, 0 snaps. And, of course, Mason Rudolph, 0 snaps.
Yeah, and Jabril Peppers, by the way, was the personal protector replacing Miles Killebrew. I don't know why he didn't get that mid-game last week against Cleveland when it went to Gainwell. I don't know if they just didn't get a chance to really rep it with Peppers because he was a mid-season ad, and Gainwell's been here since the entire offseason program began. But that was the minutia of the Killebrew injury.
All right, average yards per play in this one. What was that? Quick.
I'm sure pretty good, pretty healthy for both sides.
Yeah. Where is it? Average gain, 7.3 for the Steelers and 6.5 for the Bengals.
I like one of those numbers. I like 7.3, less so the 6.5. But again, Pittsburgh on the snap count. I don't know what deal with the devil Tom Mead made to do this charting where he gets a breeze and I got to do 70 plays each week. But 72 plays officially, which doesn't even count all the penalties. I think, what is the unofficial number on that? 78, according to the charting I have in my hand right now I got to go through. So, man, this defense just on the field a ton, and it's an old defense, and I don't like that.
And you thought that maybe you'd get a little burst there by Hayward and Watt not having to play from, 10:30 in the fourth quarter on in the previous game, but you wouldn't have known it.
Yeah, defense. I mean, the defense came out decently. I mean, they didn't know anything in the first quarter, and then it fell apart from there. It's the old classic day of that Coca-Cola, whatever you want to call it, was running good until all the wheels came off.
All right, and the penalties in this one, Steelers 7 for 59, the Bengals 4 for 35. I know one of those was you had two false starts, right? One by Johnny Smith, one by Mason McCormick. You had a couple of PIs. You had a holding on Broderick and a holding on Frazier. What was the other penalty?
It seems like it sums it up pretty well.
Was that an
It's
offsetting? Was that part of the offsetting one, maybe?
Well, it shouldn't have counted, I don't think, if it
No.
was offsetting. I don't remember every single penalty. I mean, they had 6 early in this one, which was a problem after the 10 last week, and Tomlin calling that out as an issue. Then it kind of calmed down. I think it maybe only 1 in the second half, maybe. And that was the Broderick Jones hold, which was not really a hold. The refs were not great last night.
All right. What else? What was that? OP? Did you think that was OPI on Jamar Chase on the touchdown?
It definitely wasn't DPI. It definitely wasn't a penalty on Ramsey. He was getting pushed there. I mean, I know OPI is very rarely called, but I saw a pretty clear push from Chase.
Okay, I viewed it as both guys. You just let that one go altogether.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably a fair way. And the two guys trying to hand fight down there in the end zone. But either way, he caught the ball, and I'm not going to complain too much because it's not like, the Bengals certainly, their success did not come from penalties. Their success came from just torturing a pretty static and predictable Steelers defense.
All right, the Steelers now have a bit of a mini bye here, and God, do they need it. You got Green Bay coming to town a week from Sunday night. The Packers are favorites in this one at Acrisure. Other than diving into the all 22 deeper, what did we miss? What do we need to talk about? Anything? I think we got it, didn't we?
I think we covered it pretty good for first pass through. Again, I got a lot of tape watching it. I didn't get to watch really the game back at all last night. I did my articles, my stats of the weird, which has a lot of weird stats, most of them unfortunate related. But I'm not going to do really any charting or any rewatch so far. All right, Dave. I guess with that being said, we should get to our normal end of the Friday show. So before we make the rest of our week 7 picks, and we are technically 1-0 on the week, right? Both taking the Bengals to at least cover last night. So they did so obviously with a victory. Not that we like that to be the case, but it is the case. So with that in mind, let's hear from our friends over at MyBookie.
All right, indeed, and we're glad to have MyBookie back sponsoring the Friday episodes of the Terrible Podcast, where Alex and I do our picks against the spread. If you're waiting for Sunday to start betting, you're missing out on half the fun and half the money. College football is already cooking, upsets, blowouts, wild covers, and MyBookie lets you hit it all. Game lines, player props, and more. Everything you need before the pros even kick off. When Sunday rolls around, you're already up. MyBookie's got it all under one roof. Win big on the NFL Super Contest that they have and their survivor pools that they have as well too. And if you're new to MyBookie, listen up. Use our promo code TERRIBLE. That's promo code TERRIBLE at sign up. And any bet you choose up to $500 is fully covered. Make your play, and if it doesn't hit, you get it right back when you opt in using your bet back bonus token. Once again, that's if you're new to MyBookie, use our promo code TERRIBLE, and any bet you choose up to $500 is fully covered after you make your play, and if it doesn't hit, you get it right back with opting in using your bet back bonus token. MyBookie is where bettors win together, because bragging's good, but cashing in is always better, and you can find that obviously by going to mybookie.ag. All right, to the games this week. Starting off, you got the Jacksonville Jaguars hosting the Los Angeles Rams. The Jaguars, Alex, +3 at home against the Rams.
I don't think Puka Nacua is playing in this one, which is a major loss. He was having such an elite season. I will take... This one's tough. My gut's saying the Rams. I'll take the Rams.
I will go that way as well, too, even though you got a West Coast team going all the way to Florida there, banged up Rams. I will take the Rams lay to 3 points on the road. How about the Minnesota Vikings hosting the Philadelphia Eagles? The Eagles 1.5 point road favorites in this one.
I know the Eagles are reeling. I think they bounce back even though they're on the road. Give me the Eagles.
Yeah, I will take the Eagles, lay that 1.5 on the road as well too against the Vikings. The quarterback supposed to be back for this one for the Vikings?
It's a little unclear. He was limited yesterday, McCarthy was, and Kevin O'Connell's doing kind of a Mike Tomlin, is it Fields or Russ? We're not really going to tell you, not really sure. So that's a conundrum over there. We'll let that be a problem for the Vikings.
All right, the Chicago Bears laying 4.5 points at home against the Saints. What say you?
The Saints are, I know the Saints' record is bad. They're not a terrible team. I really don't think they are. Rat was playing some good ball over there. Let's see. Do I want to go with the Bears? Even though I just kind of praised the Saints. Give me the Bears to barely, win by 5 or 6 points.
Yeah, I think the Bears win it by a touchdown. I'll lay that 4.5 along with you. How about the Jets hosting the Panthers? The Panthers 1.5 point road favorites against the winless Jets. Jets.
Give me the Jets. It's all going wrong over there. Give me the Panthers.
Man, Canales has them playing pretty good over there right now. I'll take the Panthers. I'm going to stay with you here. I'll lay the 1.5 points on the road here. How about the Chiefs hosting the Raiders? 12.5 points. The Chiefs are favored in this one.
It's a big line. Chiefs don't usually win on those big lines. I will say the Chiefs are playing better ball, though, kind of playing more in their couple of years ago era. Give me the Raiders to cover.
I'll take the Chiefs to cover that one at home, lay the big number of 12.5 points. How about the Patriots on the road against the Titans? Vrabel payback game. Obviously, the Titans making a move at head coach there. Patriots 7-point road favorites.
Yeah, the Titans can get a juice for a boost from a new head coach, the interim head coach Mike McCoy. I will take the Patriots though. I should mention. I meant to mention for the last show. I was thinking about it. Could the Titans go hire Arthur Smith when they go make their head coach hire this offseason? I think that's really a name to watch that makes a lot of sense on a lot of levels. Now, depending on your feelings on Arthur Smith, you might love that or hate that idea. I wouldn't particularly like it, but I think that's a real possibility, Dave.
Yeah, I think it's plausible. Obviously, spent time in the organization and all like that. So I think it's certain. I don't think you can discount it. That being said, I'll take the Patriots, lay the 7 points on the road with you. How about the Browns hosting the Dolphins? The Browns are 2.5 point home favorites versus Miami.
I think it's supposed to be some bad wind. I don't know if there's some storm rolling in there, so that could be an issue that makes that Browns short passing game even shorter. Give me the Browns. I think the run game gets going in those conditions and wins out.
I'll take the Dolphins to even win this one outright. Give me those 2.5 points in this one. The Broncos hosting the Giants. The Broncos 7-point home favorites over the G-Men.
Yeah, give me the Broncos. I like what the Giants are doing with Scatterbo and Dart, but that Broncos defense just too tough.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'll lay the 7 points with the Broncos in that. How about the Chargers hosting the Colts? The Chargers banged up. What a banged up team that is. 1.5 point home favorites to the Colts.
But they are getting healthier and should be healthier by the time Week 10 rolls around to face the Steelers. Khalil Mack has had his window to return. Joe Alt is returning to practice, but certainly in the backfield they're still hurt. And although Vidal had a really good game last week, I kind of downplayed the Colts. I'm still a little skeptical of them, but I got to buy them, one of these times. So give me the Colts.
I'll take the Chargers. I'll take the other side to win this by a field goal. So I'll lay that 1.5. How about the Cardinals hosting the Packers, who the Steelers will play a week from Sunday night? Packers 6.5 point road favorites over the Cardinals.
Yeah, Kyler Murray likely out again. Brissett, nice job, but now more time to kind of prepare for him, more exposure. Give me the Packers.
I will take the Packers late at 6.5. The Cowboys hosting the Commanders. That should be a good one. The Commanders 1.5 point road favorites. Dak Prescott's playing some really good ball. Sounds like they might get CD Lamb back, the Cowboys, this week.
Oh, yeah?
So, I think he's saying that he thinks he might be able to play. But all right, Commanders 1.5 road favorites over the Cowboys.
Yeah, it's tough. Road favorite divisional game. I'll take the Cowboys.
I'll take the Cowboys plus the 1.5 as well, too. 49ers hosting the Falcons. Boy, the 49ers, just the injury bug just continues to hit them. 49ers, all that said, 2-point home favorites over the Falcons, who got a big win over the Bills last week.
Falcons are the weirdest team. Get shut out by the Panthers. You beat the Bills. Can't figure that group out. The 49ers, they even have healthy people. I don't know how they're doing a roster at this point. Is this in Atlanta or
It's in
Santa Clara?
49ers hosting.
I don't even know what to make of this one. I'm just going to guess here and say the Niners.
I'll take the Niners to lay those points as well, too. What should be a good game? Detroit hosting Tampa Bay. Detroit, 5.5-point home favorites over Tampa Bay.
Yeah, this game of the week right there. I know Mike Evans looks like he's going to come back for Tampa Bay. Just too big of a line with these two good teams, Dave. Give me the Bucks to at least cover.
I'll take the Lions lay to 5.5 points here. Get a late touchdown to cover that. How about the Seahawks hosting the Texans? The Seahawks can play on the road. They can't win it. Doesn't seem to win at home. They're hosting the Texans here. Seahawks are 3-point home favorites over the Texans.
I thought about that last week, Dave. You called it right. You said I'll take Seattle on the road against Jacksonville because they play better on the road for some reason. So I'm gonna assume you're taking the Texans because Seattle's at home. So I'm gonna get ahead of you and take the Texans.
I think the Seahawks get off the schneid here. They'll
No.
finally get one at home. I'll lay the 3 points. They'll win this one by 5, I think. So give me Seattle to cover that 3. And I think that's got all of the rest of the week 7 games here.
Is there a Monday night doubleheader again this week? I think there is.
Yes.
There are 2 Monday night games. Why are they
Yeah.
doing that? Why are they doing all these Monday night doubleheaders? I hate them. All right, Dave, let's get to some reader emails and close out today's show.
All right. I warn you, the C's are angry today. Let's see if I can sort this out real quick. And we will start with
And we'll have a live stream on Monday, by the way, for even more angry.
Kevin Jessup, let's start with him. Fun Friday question. Really enjoyed the show for a bunch of years. Shortens my commute. Started listening prior to Alex joining. I think the two of you is the best version by far. If you guys could add a prime of their career version of one retired modern era Steeler to the current roster to win a Super Bowl, who would it be? Both sides of the ball. He says mine would be Antonio Brown on offense and defense, Troy Polamalu. Boy, it's hard to go against those selections there, right?
Yeah, those are the names that came to mind, assuming I was getting AB before it all went wrong at the end of 2018. I can kind of, even if I had some of the difficulty of AB in the prime years, I'm sure off the field, I will sign up for that for this offense. And then, yeah, defensively, I mean, the front seven is still strong despite what last night showed. Would you go Casey Hampton, though, to give a different name than Troy? Would you go Ike Taylor to have a number one corner? I mean, you already have a bunch of corners, obviously, but the struggles last night. So, fun question. Appreciate a fun question to start after a game like this. But I think it's hard to argue with AB and Troy.
Yeah, I think it's hard to argue with what Kevin suggested there as well, too. Good question. Zachary Watt writes in, hey, David Knox, did either of you see Broderick Jones tackle Rodgers after the touchdown pass to Freiermuth? He was getting weirdly physical with him after another successful play earlier. He says, I get it. The kid's excited in the moment, but that's insane that he would do that. Man, Aaron looked. Alex and I kind of joked right before we got on there. Can Broderick play defense? Because that might have been the best tackle of the game that the Steelers had, and Aaron did seem a little bit perturbed.
More than a little bit. He was heated.
Yeah. Weird. Yeah, that was a wild moment there for sure. Nick Shuley writes in, I was at the game just like last year's Thursday night football game in Cleveland. The Steelers had everything on a silver platter, win the game, and you're miles ahead of everyone in the AFC North. Very simple. Instead, the league's highest paid defense allows the worst rushing attack in pro football to have their way. They allow a quarterback who hasn't been with the team 2 weeks to carve them up. Their historic defense, I joke that that's a prehistoric defense. I'll be here all week, folks. Try to build. Make sure to tip your waitress. One of the worst games I've ever watched, Nick said. My question is simple. Why should I believe this team can win a playoff game after what they did on Thursday night? Right now, look, that's the thing about doing this that I've learned over the years here, man. It's so easy to get so high after one
Mhm.
game, and it's so easy to get so low after the very next game here. And based on look, you saw several of the analysts come out this week and say, look, really, who are the Steelers at this point? Colin Coward said, basically, look at who they played so far, and so far, basically, we need to learn more about this team against better opponents, and so forth. And look, I mean, we have. I've seen enough of this offense so far that I think that they can make things work on the offensive side of football. Would it be nice to have a second, a true number two wide receiver come in and make this offense even better? Yes, but things are at least trending in the last several weeks in the right direction as far as this offense goes. The defense, before we start talking about this team winning a playoff game, we have got to see this defense string together some really strong performances, and stringing together is more than two.
Right, and you talk about facing some tough teams. You're going to face some of those tough teams coming up: Green Bay, the Colts, and the Chargers next couple of weeks here. And so that might be a better window into where this team is at. Yeah, you're right. I think it's a really good point, Dave. You don't want to get too high, too low. It's a bad loss. There's no question about that. But I agree with Tom. It doesn't not define the Steelers as ugly as it was last night, and then the offense is still showing a lot of positivity, and this defense I think still can play well. It just did not play well on that short week where history has not been kind to them. So I think it is fair to sit there and say the Steelers must prove it to you. They can win a playoff game, not because of last night, but because of everything that's happened since 2017 and the repeated failures there. So if you're skeptical and want to believe, see it and believe it that way, then I'm totally good with that, but I don't think last night is the reason to say, well, they can't win a playoff game.
All right, Mike Thomas says this. He talked about the secondary, but as a whole, Mike Thomas would probably say would tell you that game doesn't define us. All right, but here's my question: Can we sort of define the offense at this point that it can at least play at an acceptable level, winning football?
Yes, I think that's fair.
I think that's fair as well too. Is this offense, because this offense, even even through the loss and two losses and all like that, this offense has progressively at least gotten better. Now, the offensive line's got some inconsistencies, and they played a bad defense minus Trey Hendrickson and all like that. But we have seen at least Aaron Rodgers. I think we can at least define this offense now as one that can at least score you enough points to win games, right? And move the football.
Yes. Yes, I think that's fair.
All right. Can we define this defense yet, though?
It's a better question. I think there's less definition to it. I think these next couple of games will do a better job defining this defense, but it's certainly not reaching the historic levels that we thought it could be, and that Mike Tomlin alluded to and kind of challenged the group to be, because historic groups don't have those kinds of
Right.
performances.
Right. They're far from historic. All right. Bryce is in here. The tape shows that Jalen in the past has struggled with Chase, and the advanced next gen numbers showed that Joey has more success against Chase. Advanced numbers, question mark, LOL. Doesn't matter to Tomlin. He hates that stuff. Should have matched up Joey with Chase, Jalen on T, Higgins, Slay, Peppers, everyone else's safeties, and lived with the results. He says soft zones and passive secondary play get you beat against the best. Your thoughts? Okay, so in so many words, should have Joey Porter been on Chase more?
I I think there's certainly a lot of criticism for the scheme and game plan last night, but Pittsburgh also tried a bunch of stuff and none of it worked. I don't think anything was the
Nothing.
answer last night unless you did some different stuff. I think in these games, I go back to the Belichick model of take your number two corner and double the number one. So in this case, I would call Porter the number two, double Chase with the safety and your number 2, and then take Ramsey and put your number 1 corner on their number 2 receiver, one-on-one. So Ramsey on Higgins. That's the old Belichick model of how he took away
the best player.
star receivers. Yeah, you double the top guy with your number 2 corner and a safety, and then put your true number 1 corner on the other guy. That's kind of the combination that he would do. That's probably something I would have liked to see last night. I gotta go through the tape and see the exact plan. That's maybe something that was missing, but I think Pittsburgh did try a lot of things and nothing worked.
So in other words, let Chase have, Chase is still going to get his in that type of situation, but maybe it's 6 for 68 or something that way. And then make T. Higgins be the one that had the chase game.
Yeah, essentially. In this scenario, the Belichick model, really that number 1, that Chase is supposed to have no production because you're doubling him. And even for a top guy, it's hard to win and get any sort of production while you're being doubled. I mean, he would have something. He wouldn't be shut out, but it would be pretty minimal. And then you're trusting your number 1 corner, your top dog, to take away Higgins. And maybe that guy makes a couple of plays, but it's something where Chase would have 3 catches for 30 yards and Higgins might have 7 for 80, but nothing kills you.
All right, he goes on to write, inside linebackers have done good things, but also a lot of times look a mess schematically. Not sure anyone has wrote in with this, but maybe it's time needs to question Scott McCurley. What exactly do you do here? He says, your thoughts. Once again, when we're talking about this inside linebacker group having, they're probably their best combined game as a unit in some time against the Browns. And then you turn around and that wasn't the only group that this was a team defensive loss for sure in this one. So just kind of like I just said a moment ago, we can't go game for game with position groups and saying that coach needs to be fired,
Yeah, there's always a difficulty in critiquing positional coaches. Not that we don't do it. I certainly do. It's done a lot with Pat Meyer. I mean, I think the inside backers have played, better and progressed. I mean, last night was probably not their shining example for McCurley on his resume, but we'll watch the whole season. I'm not going to talk about first year coach. Still 6 games into his tenure. I'm just waiting for Mike McCarthy to get a job again and then go take McCurley because those guys have been tied to the hip for so long. But that's all. It's all in the weed stuff.
Garrett Humbertson writes in, can you guys explain why Turner's interception was so quickly ruled as such? To me, it looks like DK has control, then Turner rips the ball out as his left foot comes up off the ground while his right foot was definitely inbounds. He never gets a second body part down. The only thing I can reason is that they viewed the act of ripping it out as demonstrating control of the football, which made the left toe count. I've attached some screenshots. He's got a bunch of screenshots in here. All in all, it felt like they could have spent more time looking at that one. Okay, that ended up being part of a pull report as well, too. Did you see the pull report on that?
I saw the tweet of it. I don't have it offhand though, but my understanding was, maybe the report says differently, was the knee was down for Turner and 1 knee equals 2 feet.
All right. The question after the game for the pull report was, what was the interpretation on the interception by DJ Turner in the first half that enabled that ruling to be called on the field? And Mark Butterworth responded, who is the vice president of instant replay for the Steelers Bengals game, says, yes, the ruling on the field was that we had an interception. Since that is a reviewable play due to it being a turnover, we did look at the play in the AMGC, which is the Art McNally Game Day Central, the NFL officiating room in New York. We did have initial control by the receiver, and before he completes the process of the catch, the defender gains control of the ball, and the defender had his knee down inbounds and then completes the process of the catch as he goes out of bounds. So, since the receiver did not complete the process of the catch, he was not down by contact, and the defender gained control of the ball. The defender actually completed the process of the catch with the knee down in bounds before he went out of bounds. Follow-up question. Is that normal protocol that replay in New York will help out the expedited reviews. That was a question we had given how often that was cited tonight. And Butterworth said, yes, we did wait for the crew on the field, the 7 officials, to determine that the ruling on the field was an interception. Once they ruled it an interception, we did confirm it in the game day central room.
All makes sense to me. It's the right call.
Yeah. I'll go back and look at it again. Appreciate all the screenshots and all like that you sent, Garrett. But based on the way it's described and the way I remember it and looking at some of these screenshots, I think they ended up getting that one right.
The knee was down. I mean, at first I was questioning it too because I was watching the feet, but the knee was down and with possession. So that's an interception. Great play.
All right, Dylan Bayer writes in, I'd like to start off with a quote. On short weeks, we don't spend time worrying about the opponent. We focus on us. We concentrate on the things we do well, our fundamentals, and our style of play via Mike Tomlin. He goes on to write, there are plenty more like this, and honestly, it shows. The Steelers' 2-8 record on the road on Thursday night say everything you need to know. It's like there's never a real defensive game plan built for the opponent, and the lack of preparation keeps coming back to bite them every short week. You think after years of seeing the same results, there'd be an adjustment in approach, but instead it's the same, we'll just do what we do mindset every time. He says maybe that's why he's afraid of guys like Flacco, guys have been around the block and don't flinch at his bland JV defensive game plans. Tomlin will never be fired, he writes, so I'll continue to enjoy watching him stick his foot in his mouth again and again, proving exactly who he is, a fraud. Okay. I definitely get where he comes from, and Mike Tomlin always likes to say it's us, not them, right?
Yeah, I mean, I get that because it is your short week and it's harder to game plan. So you focus on just kind of doing your fundamental stuff. And if you do that, then you feel like you got a chance to be in it. I mean, obviously Pittsburgh does game plan. It's like it's not like there's an absence of a game plan or recognition of the opponent. It's just harder to do. But I also understand the reader. I mean, how's that working for you? The old Dr. Phil line of, should there be a different strategy or approach given how bad Pittsburgh has been on the road in these situations? They seemingly get a bunch more road games on Thursday night than they do home games. So it's a to the point about the approach maybe needing to change or at least be re-examined. I think that's fair.
How much pre-game planning because of the short week and all like that, I wonder what the process is on short weeks, the week ahead, looking ahead and say before the Flacco deal happened, how much maybe of that defensive game plan was kind of already loosely established, and how much do you think changed after Flacco was acquired?
I mean, Flacco was traded for when? For week 6, obviously,
Right.
before the Steelers played the Browns. What day was that though? Like a Tuesday, a Wednesday, or Monday? Wasn't it the day after?
Something like that, Monday or
I,
Tuesday.
I mean, there is some advanced game planning. I know like old quality control coaches would sometimes be looking ahead and scouting ahead, but I don't think Pittsburgh was doing really much or any game planning before the Flacco trade took place. I don't know how much game planning they were doing ahead. It's not going to be done really by Mike Tomlin or Terrell Austin. Those guys really aren't the ones who be game planning ahead. It might be a lower level assistant that has some responsibility in kind of getting some stuff prepared so you're not starting from scratch right after the Browns game. But I don't think a lot of formal game planning takes place before, a week prior in a regular season environment like this.
Well, I mean, look, Dylan, it's hard to argue with a lot of things that you're pointing out here. I mean, just the proof in the short weeks on the road, specifically with this team, have not been great recently when it comes to Tomlin's teams.
And they're not the only ones, but that's not an acceptable
Right.
response in the sense of, oh, it's okay if other teams are bad in those environments too. It's a tough environment, but Pittsburgh's supposed to win these tough games if they want to be who they want to be.
Look, Joe Flacco was 4-0 in the NFC North on short weeks against division on the road against division foes.
Yeah, but these things don't just happen because of the history
Right.
or by accident. That Flacco played a great game. Pittsburgh did not, so Bengals deserve to win.
All right. One thing that maybe that Tomlin might need to be asked when he gets back on, I guess Monday would be, what needs to change on short weeks, especially when you're playing on the road. What needs to change? What needs to be different? And he's going to give a non-answer,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe that needs to be asked. Nathan Casey writes in, Dave and Alex, didn't the Steelers really make a mistake allowing Flacco to do any extra step taking and second wasting there at the end? It was like they were surprised he didn't just kneel it. An extra 3 seconds probably is another play. What is overlooked is that they started the last drive on the 35. If they can just get 20 yards, Boz would have tried a 62-yarder. He says, I like those odds better than a Hail Mary. Also, you pay Ramsey to come up big. He gave up a TD to Chase, and the backbreaker was the big one at the end to Higgins. If he breaks up that Higgins pass, the Steelers likely win. So the extra step taking, I guess, and second wasting there at the end with Flacco, I guess, kneeling and centering the
Mm-hmm.
ball, I guess, is one thing he wants to talk about there.
Yeah, I think it was like the second kneel down that he had that took off a couple extra seconds or so. It's tough because, when a kneel down, you don't want to get called for a penalty. You don't know exactly what the plan is. Is he going to kneel down right away, or is he going to kind of run around for a second or kind of wait an extra beat or two? So, I mean, I get it. I don't know if it really would have mattered because even if you have a couple extra seconds left, you have no timeouts. And so, unless you get the ball to the sidelines and the Bengals are going to take away the sidelines, throwing over the middle is not viable. So, once that field goal was kicked, I mean, the thing you were banking on was the Hail Mary because Rodgers has had tremendous Hail Mary history. I mean, he's had multiple Hail Mary winners, and he still has an arm. That ball got to the end zone. It's kind of crazy how far that ball traveled. So, that's kind of what you were banking on.
69, I think,
Yeah, just under
from
70
from
yards there.
from launch point there.
So, but again, I don't have an issue with exactly how the end of that. You had one quick play that got you a couple yards that kind of got you in Rodgers throw at distance, and you take the Hail Mary from there.
All right, Nick Gooden, defensive plan too complex? Question mark. Well, that was tough. He says it feels to me like the Steelers' game plan for defending Chase might have been too complex in this one. Felt like the whole defense had to play slow for most of the night because they were thinking so much about what number one was doing. I'd wonder if it might be better idea to just double him 99% of the time and then play 9 on 10 with the guys being able to attack more full speed. I'd rather risk some explosive plays with a higher chance of getting a takeaway over getting dinked and dunked to death. P.S. He says, shout out to Keyshawn Williams on the return game. Hopefully he sticks around all year. Yeah, I mean, we're Keyshawn. We already hit on. There's one person that probably does need a shout out, and we did a little bit earlier, was Keyshawn Williams. As far as the rest, I think that kind of plays into what Alex was kind of saying. Do you take the Bill Belichick approach and Chase is not going to beat us, and instead of mix and matching, I was it I. The overarching question and subject title was the defensive plan too complex?
Some would say it's too simple. I mean, I think you look for a lot of explanations here. I think Pittsburgh generally does a good job taking away your top targets and force you to go to plan B and plan C. I think back to Cooper Kupp years ago, and even Chase historically has not gotten Pittsburgh, I don't think, to this degree. So there's a lot of soul searching, I'm sure, in the mini buy to do. I mean, it was a bad plan. They did try a variety of things. I think there probably was too much zone coverage in this game.
Slants
Cornerbacks are
and
not,
outs.
yeah, your
Slants and
cornerbacks
outs.
got to be inside shade, take away the slant, make those outside releases beat you. If they do, so be it. I think that was an issue in this game. But yeah, because you're done, again, Belichick called it the old, he would literally call it one double and then the player's number. So in Jamar Chase's case, he wears number one. So 1-1-1 would be the call. And that was a pretty effective thing that he had whenever he had, whatever Gilmore in the top corners that he would have over the years. So that would have been more my approach. Maybe they did some of it. Again, I have not even gotten the all 22, so I need to kind of get into this game some more. But obviously the results were a mess.
All right. No matter what they played, man, zone, doubling, both of those guys, nothing worked. for sure. And they couldn't stop the run on top of it. And that's a recipe for disaster. You get what you had happen there last night. So, all right. I think we got through bulk of the emails here, Alex. So I think we're an hour and about 45 minutes in. It might be a good time to call this one. Alex and I will be back on Monday, and we'll probably make that show a little bit later in the afternoon, right? Because Mike Tomlin Mike Tomlin will talk on Tuesday. Yeah, so
normal week.
We'll do normal Monday show, and we'll recap the all 22 and go from there as this team licks her wounds and starts getting ready for the Packers. So, in the meantime, you can follow me on Twitter /X at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast at gmail.com. If you like what we do and want to donate, SteelersDepot.com, hit the donate button. Also, if you'd like to get an ad-free version of the site, SteelersDepot.com, hit the ad-free button. Follow the directions that way. Yes, the Steelers have already played. Yes, we will be busy the rest of the weekend. Film rooms, breakdowns, he said, she said, that kind of stuff to try to keep everybody busy throughout the weekend. Some good college ball on Saturday. Get to sit back and watch some ball and root against the Browns on Sunday. The Ravens are off on a bye this week. So until Monday, as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.